Back again after a little hiatus here. Sheffield Shuffler and John LaLoggia with Chef's Kiss, number one podcast in the sports sphere. We've eclipsed
we declared it.
We've eclipsed the Kelsey brothers.
Yep.
It's amazing how fast we have grown in the past few months. Number one podcast in the world.
It's amazing. Taking a hiatus has actually surpassed the Joe Rogan Experience, which is like the biggest podcast in the world. So
yeah,
actually taking time off was a positive for us. So I don't know why we're working so hard to do these podcasts, because when we were off, we just shot through the charts.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It just gave our fans an opportunity to find us, find more episodes, things like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Supply and demand. You don't want to give them everything all at once. You give them a little bit of the goods.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely give them the goods.
We give them the goods. Who gave us the goods yesterday, John? Do you remember running back Rashard Mendenhall?
I do. I believe an Illinois Illini grad. Yes?
Correct. Yes.
Probably their best player of all time.
Juice Williams was pretty good, too.
Yeah, but not as good as Mendenhall.
Okay. I mean, maybe you could say NFL career, but I'm pretty sure Rashard Mendenhall played, 6 seasons? He had 2
6
good
seasons,
ones.
yep.
And then, John, if you could refresh my memory on this racist piece of shit, what happened in the Super Bowl against the Packers? I think there was a huge play that he made, right?
Well, so for the listeners, Rashard Mendenhall was a running back for about 6 years with the Steelers. He tweeted... quote, "I'm sick of average white guys commenting on football." That's us.
That's us.
Y'all even good at football. Can we please replace the Pro Bowl with an all black versus all white bowl so these cats can stop trying to teach me who's good at football? I'm better than your GOAT, end quote. So he basically wants to have an all black versus an all white team, which is interesting. Because in the Super Bowl in 2010, you can't get any whiter than Clay Matthews, and he lit him up and forced a massive fumble that helped the Packers secure victory for their fourth quarter for their 2010 Super Bowl.
Around midfield, giving them great field position.
Yeah, and it's opened up an interesting. It's opened up an interesting debate. One thing comes to mind is like the racial draft from Chappelle. Like that is a great sketch. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but Chappelle Show did a racial draft. Yeah. And the white people, and the white people drafted Tiger Woods, which was hilarious. But John, it's interesting. Like, where does Mahomes play?
Get into the race stuff. Is that where you were going to go with this?
Well, I was going to talk about it. Okay. An all-black versus an all-white team. People have been breaking it down, and I thought it was an interesting tweet. But what's your take on it?
Well, before we get into that, I wanted to talk about the structure of the tweet and things that I've seen lately, especially with a Cam Newton situation as well. So, someone can make a statement, right? I can say, the Eagles played like shit yesterday. Their secondary got burned. They had Jalen run too much, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and Jalen wasn't 100%. You could tell.
But here's the thing. Now people respond by saying, they're in the NFL. You don't do shit. You do a stupid podcast. You make memes. Okay. I don't have to do what they do in order to be correct. Cam Newton got flamed because he was saying Brock Purdy was a game manager, and everyone was saying, you're on the couch, man. You don't even play in the NFL. You don't have to be the same caliber person in order to make an observation and be correct about it. That's what I don't understand. Like, get the argument right. Like, what he's saying, these white boys who are have never played football, like, you can still be an average white guy and talk about baseball, football, and still be correct. You don't have to have played at the highest level in order to give commentary on it.
That's something that athletes say. And it all goes back to you never played. And, yeah, we didn't play professionally, but, yeah, we've been watching football forever. We understand the game. We've played sports, a variety of different sports. We understand the competitive nature. Like, we don't need
Brian Windhorse.
We don't need to play a professional sport to comment on it. And
right.
no better there's no better no better evidence than that, than Major League Baseball. All of their president of baseball operations are run by guys who didn't play Major League Baseball. And guess what? They're super successful. Really, really successful. So that argument, you never played, I think, that's like very archaic. And, and it's not relevant at all or anymore. There are so many men and women covering sports for The Athletic, for ESPN.com, that weigh in, and they're totally, and they use data, and they have good arguments, and they're eye test. They're watching the games. Just because you didn't play doesn't mean you can't have an opinion about this.
Yeah,
so
and not be valid about it.
Of course. And this is not just Mendenhall. A lot of athletes think this. They don't always say it, like Mendenhall tweeted, but that's like a whole thing. You never played, and that doesn't hold water anymore because you could point to a million examples of people that are running organizations that never play professionally and are extremely successful. Take Andrew Friedman for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who just signed Shohei Ohtani and did a brilliant move on how to structure his deal so he basically can field a team of all-stars for the next 10 years.
Or Brian Windhorst, who's 500 pounds talking about basketball players.
Adam Schefter, Mina Kimes. I mean, the list goes on. It doesn't matter. Like, if you know the sport, you know the sport. Mike Greenberg wrote a book, and he talked about that too. He's like, just because I didn't play doesn't mean I don't know the sport and I don't know how to analyze and dissect this game.
That was just the flaw I saw in some arguments recently. And
that's ridiculous.
That needs to be addressed.
And that's archaic, and that's really old-time thinking, and it's to have that viewpoint, I think, is a little bit embarrassing, and it shows you that you're not really you certainly haven't evolved. It's more of a commentary on them.
Sure.
Okay. But with the Mendenhall Mendenhall thing, so like J.J. Watt retweeted that, and he goes, we would get burned on our cornerbacks. We have no white corners, like no one can Tyreek Hill. Will Compton, I don't know if you saw his breakdown.
I saw his, yeah.
Was like,
he broke it down.
Literally broke it down, like tangibly how you could actually do it.
Did you see Emmanuel Ocho?
No.
Copied it word for word.
Really?
Made his own TikTok, dude. Because I saw Compton's first, and then later at night, Emmanuel Ocho made the same thing, listed the players in the same order, and like played it off like it was his. Guy's a fucking fraud.
That sucks.
But anyway, go ahead.
No, yeah, but so here's my question: what teams does Mahomes play on, or is he excluded?
No, you got to put him somewhere.
Okay, well, he could play for the white team or the black team.
Right. Yeah, you can. I think there would have to be a draft.
Yeah.
At that part,
you definitely
can't just exclude him out from one side or the other.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Whites versus blacks.
I don't think it's good. Yes, it's not great for society. I don't think it's
segregate colors now. It's just like
no. Like no, I don't think they should do it. But I'd be lying if I said if it was on. Yes. Let's just say this. I don't think they should do this. I think this country is divided enough. I don't think we need any more divisiveness in this country. That being said, if it does happen, I will definitely watch it.
It would be entertaining.
100%. And I think that's why so many people are talking about it. J.J. Watt retweeted it.
Yeah.
Who is beloved by everybody.
Yeah. Be a lot of runs from the white team. A lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends for sure.
Yeah.
You get Bill Belichick in there running with his old Gronk and Aaron Hernandez offense.
Well, the thing about Belichick, when they beat, it was really interesting. I watched the documentary about how they beat the Seahawks obviously the Malcolm Butler interception sealed the deal. I mean, that's like one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. But to get close to there, they basically had a closed-door meeting, and Belichick said, we cannot run on this defense. This defense is elite, the Legion of Boom. Probably one of the last elite defenses we have seen. Like across the board, Cam Chancellor, everybody. They're like, we can't run on this team. And not only that, we don't have the receivers like Edelman, Hogan, other people, like we're not as fast as them, so we can't outrun them. So what we're going to do, and I think Brady threw it like 50 times, is Belichick and Josh McDaniels and Brady decided we're going to run crossing patterns every single play, and we're going to tire them out. So if Richard Sherman's on one side of the field, at the end of the play, he's going to be on the other side of the field. And it's going to be nonstop. That's our running game. It's going to be short crossing patterns. And over time, they're going to get tired, and we're going to be able to exploit that. And that's exactly what happened. I thought that was like absolutely brilliant.
It is brilliant. Yeah, that's the playing the long game.
Yeah. Because they can't. We do these hill runs, whatever. Like they're faster than us, more athletic, but we're going to exploit that. We will tire them out. We can last longer than they can.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a weird ass tweet, dude.
Super weird.
It seemed pretty racist to me. I mean, you know, and I hate to say that. Well, if it was the other way, but if it was, I mean, that was just fucking out of pocket. That's a weird ass thing to say. CTE is strong with that one, it would seem. A lot of, you know, these ex-NFL players got some weird shit to say. Chandler Jones is off the walls. But, you know, it was good for entertainment purposes. And, yeah, you know, very good debate. Like you said, like Compton said, I think they underestimated the white side. Yeah.
Well, it'll never happen, but
at least on offense.
Let's get into some of the NFL. So you want to talk about what's going on with your Eagles?
Yeah. Last night was bad. They are the weakest 10-4 team out there. Their point differential was something I saw that was pretty not alarming. Well, it was alarming. They have a plus 18 point differential. Okay, who's in front of them? Who's also 10-4? The Lions plus 51. The 49ers are plus 191 point differential. So from 191 to 18, I don't care. You know, everyone said, oh, they only have one more win. They still beat the Chiefs. They still beat the Bills and the Cowboys once. That's great, but they're not dominating teams. And I think as you go down in the season, you should be playing your best football at the end of December into January. They are not playing their best ball. They're going the opposite way. They just dropped 3 in a row. Everybody's been healthy. They've had no issues on the O-line, no issues on the D-line. Their defense is trash. Jalen Hurts, I think, is more hurt than they are leading on. I think his knee definitely
just the way he was moving last night, just a little gingerly, like not as explosive as he was just good enough to get away, but you could tell something. Why
are you running him 16 to 18 times a game? Designed runs. I don't know if you saw on the Manning cast, but Christian McCaffrey was on there, called out several plays. Jalen Hurts is doing a draw on the left side right here. That tight end's going to be bumped back. Boom. Same thing happened. Predictable offense. So now you have a predictable offense. Devonta Smith didn't get involved in the game at all. A.J. Brown was very limited. They gave the ball to Swift, I think, 18 times for like 70-something yards, but they left. Like they abandoned that run. That last play, I mean, it all doesn't come back to one play, but you're at midfield with 2 timeouts left, man, and you got Jake Elliott who saved you. What was that Buffalo game? He saved you with a 60-yard field goal, 58 whatever yard field goal. You're at midfield, 2 time. You need 12 yards, dude. You don't need a 35-yard bomb. I think Jalen wanted to get out of there one way or another. He was like, I'm hucking that. That was stupid. And they're just they don't have it. They can't score enough points to keep up with what they're going to give up. So.
Yeah, I think their defense isn't as good as it once was. I don't think Hurts is fully healthy, and I think that's a big part of it.
Tommy DeVito is going to beat them at least one game.
Dude.
The Giants will beat one game. They're going to be a wild card. They're not going to get the number 1 spot. They're not going to have that week off of rest, and then they're going to get beat.
The thing about
that's how I see it.
So the Packers also, like, I was so excited because they had beaten the Lions, they had beaten the Chiefs, I'm like, Love looked amazing. And then he looked like Love from October, like immediately. Like it just so bad. The defense is like falling apart. I can't, like, Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator, needs to be fired. But again, they're not playing. LaFleur's never lost, and they're not playing great football right now. Like I thought they were like, oh wow, like they're coming on really strong, and then they just lost to the Giants, which they never should have. DeVito, I'm surprised how fast he was. Like he made a couple throws, but he killed them on the ground. Like I think he ran for like 70, 75 yards. I didn't realize he was that mobile. But Love, like, it's almost like Justin Fields. Like, you'll see like greatness from Justin Fields, and then like you'll see him miss an out route or like miss it, and you're like, what? Like, and that's what's happening with Jordan Love. And I was talking to my dad about this. My dad's like, yeah, there's a reason that the Packers gave Aaron Rodgers a $75 million extension. Like, they knew this guy had talent, but just wasn't accurate. And I think, when you're drafting a quarterback, it's two things you have to have. Like, you have to be able to read defense and process information really quickly in real time, and you have to be accurate. And I think both things, I definitely think being accurate is a must. You can't teach accuracy. I don't think Fields is super accurate. I don't think Jordan Love is super accurate, at least not consistently as you need to be as an NFL quarterback. You look at Brock Purdy. Like, Purdy, yes, he's got a million weapons, but I watched him against Arizona. That ball, he throws a good spiral, and he doesn't have an amazing arm, but he's accurate, and he's on time. He's just hits everybody in stride, and if it's not there, he makes the right check down. It's so similar. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but the play style is the same thing. It's like, so when you're drafting a quarterback, it's like, get someone who can read defenses and is accurate. Why is it so hard to draft a quarterback?
John, how many NFC championships did Jimmy Garoppolo take the 49ers to? Was it one or two?
It was a couple. He lost He lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs because he missed that big time throw deep. And again, he's a good quarterback, but again, not super accurate. Not consistently.
Sure, but you know what I'm saying? Jimmy Garoppolo took the 49ers the same distance that Brock Purdy is taking him. And everyone's talking about like his numbers and stuff. Because for MVP discussions, and I just don't think. You don't think
Purdy is the MVP?
Because what happened when he didn't have Debo and Christian McCaffrey? When they were out, they lost 3 in a row. So you take away those weapons. Vastly different. And I know you could say that about other teams, but if you're the MVP, that means you're the most valuable player, that you make the biggest impact, not your receiver and your running back.
It's a valid argument, yeah.
When they were injured for that 3 weeks, they dropped 3 in a row. And that showed me, I'm like, this guy, I mean, not taking anything away from him, but it's just like, no, I don't think that's a good MVP candidate. If anything, it would be McCaffrey. Like, he's gone, they lost, and you can't just plug and play because he's so dynamic.
Yeah. McCaffrey and Debo, I mean, you can make an argument that they're Pro Bowl running backs, but also, like, they're close to being Pro Bowl receivers. Like, you put McCaffrey in the slot, McCaffrey's just as good as most slot players. Same with Debo, like, and running back as well. Like, both of them are elite at 2 positions, and you have 2 of them. Like, that's so unique. And it's when you have both of them on the field, the options, the things that you can do, or use them as decoys, and then you have Kittle or Ayuk. It's like, it's literally, it's almost unstoppable. Like, the Niners are far and away better than every team, I think, in the NFL. I really don't think anybody it's close. It's them in a category by themselves. But I do have a question for you. I have a couple other things. Who's your MVP? Is it McCaffrey? I don't think it's Lamar Jackson. Unless he beats... Who do they play on Christmas? Someone really good. The Niners.
Bills?
So, December 25th, if Lamar has a big game against the Niners, and I think it's in San Francisco, if he has a big game against the Niners, I think he might be able to win.
If
MVP.
any non-QB should win, it should be this year. I know the MVP is historically a quarterback award. That's why they have an offensive player of the year that goes to a receiver or running back. But I think people vastly underestimate Christian McCaffrey.
But how many games has he played? How many times was he out? It's hard for him.
Healthy majority of the season.
How many games did he miss?
That 3-game stretch, I don't remember how
Can
many
you
he missed.
Can you give the MVP to someone who missed 3 games versus someone who's healthy all year?
Yeah. Because if anything, like, look at how you could say make the argument for Tyreek Hill when Tyreek Hill missed those games. Vastly different. The Miami offense did not look the same. So you could say that when those players are gone, the offense does not operate the same. They make that much of an impact. So I think it would be. I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to close in on almost 2,000 yards. That's bananas, dude. That's bananas. Christian McCaffrey scores 4 touchdowns a game. Like, it happens so often, people just kind of like dismiss it. Like, oh yeah, he had 4 touchdowns. Like, do you know how crazy that is? 2 receiving, 2 rushing, whatever it is. Like you said, anywhere you line him up on the field is just
it's a mismatch,
a decoy or use. It's a mismatch everywhere. I think he gets taken is overlooked very much so. And if I had to, he's the best football player. Yeah. Best athlete on the field, 99.9% of the time. The best athlete.
I'd probably vote for him for MVP. I'd put Purdy up there pretty high. Purdy's really, man. I've been watching the Niners last couple weeks. I mean, Purdy's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good within that system. You know what I mean? But like, if he let's say he didn't have Kyle Shanahan. You know, I think about that with Justin Fields. Like, sometimes I'll see Justin Fields. I'm like, my God, he's amazing. Like, imagine if he had Kyle Shanahan. Like, what would that be like? And I honestly, I think LaFleur's done a really good job with Jordan Love. I just think, I mean, Troy Aikman called him out on that Monday Night Football game against the Giants. He missed a wide open, simple crossing out route, and Aikman's like, this is a different Jordan Love than we've seen the last 2 weeks. Like, he goes, an NFL quarterback. He's like, you got to hit that. That's a basic throw, and that guy's wide open, and he just missed him, and he missed a lot of those. So I don't think the Packers are going to make the playoffs, and if they do, they certainly won't go far.
Yeah, and I really don't care about the MVP. It's really just an award. I do nothing for that. More interested in, when the Eagles are going to get knocked out, who they're going to get knocked out by, and who the 49ers are going to play in the Super Bowl. I love what I saw out of the Bills against the Cowboys.
Talk about peaking at the right time. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's exactly the type of football you want to play right now.
Yep. When everyone's down, you get your squad, you rally up, you have a home game, and you beat one of the best offenses and defenses in football. Supposedly, they only put up 10 on you. When the Cowboys go on the road, their butthole just puckers up.
Dude,
and they don't do
I
anything.
have anyone who thinks the Cowboys are a legit chance to go deep in the playoffs are deluding themselves. I don't trust.
And why do you say that?
Because I don't. Well, I'll tell you why. I don't trust Dak, but even more so, they have such an incompetent head coach, and I have 10 to 14 years experience of that coach who sucks. Mike McCarthy is not a good head coach.
Why isn't their run game any good, John?
What?
Their run game. I mean, Tony Pollard doesn't do anything.
Tony Pollard doesn't do anything, but also too, Belichick is considered the greatest person to make halftime adjustments. I would argue Mike McCarthy is so terrible, particularly in the second half. There are so many times where the Packers would go up big, and then inevitably they would let a team back in the game, and then Aaron would make some ridiculous play on third down, either with his legs or a great throw or something like that. Aaron bailed him out so much. You look at some like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, some of his greatest highlights, it's because of an incompetent head coach and offensive scheme. It's just he had to improvise and make ridiculous throws. You don't see Brock Purdy doing that. You don't see Brady doing that. Brady's highlights are boring as shit. Brady's highlights are just like check downs and like I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. Brady just wins. Like Rodgers' highlights are mind-blowing, some of the plays he made, but because things broke down, because the scheme wasn't good. And also McCarthy in pressure situations in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter, I do not trust him. I think Jerry Jones likes him because he's affable. I think they relate on this somewhat of a similar level. Like he sees some of himself in him. But let me tell you something. He is a very, very incompetent coach who is incapable of making adjustments. And in crunch time,
clock management is the worst. Right?
That's just one of the many things. He's shitty on special teams. And the biggest thing is attention to detail. He is so not detail-oriented. Like Kyle Shanahan is detail-oriented. LaFleur is very detail-oriented. This is the most upset I've seen LaFleur all year. One, because I think he knows he's going to have to fire his defensive coordinator, and also he knows he's going to have to probably find a new quarterback because it's not consistent enough. And you can't win in this league if you don't have a top 10 quarterback. It's literally impossible unless you have an 85 Bears defense or a 2000 Ravens defense. And those are, I think the Legion of Boom in 2014 might be the last great defense. I just don't. It's all about a good head coach who can make adjustments and a top 10 quarterback. If you don't have that, you're not going to win in this league. And I think that's why the Bills, I think their coach is awesome. I think he's really good defensively, and I also think Josh Allen is an absolute stud and can do pretty much everything that you need him to do. And
Josh Allen didn't do shit that game, and it was James
Cook, who I have in fantasy, who was amazing.
He almost had 200 yards.
He's been killing it for me, even though I'm so terrible in fantasy. But that's a team that's peaking right now. So I would say Bills, Niners right now, but who knows? Like, there's so many teams that are not great. Like, you never know. And one injury could totally change everything, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of uncertainty. But right now, I think the Niners and everyone else, and then I think from the AFC, it's the Bills. But I want to talk to you about the Bears. Obviously, another tough loss. What do you do about Eberflus is obviously not coming back. Do the Bears keep or trade Justin Fields? I have my thoughts, but you as a Bears fan, I would like to know what your take is on this.
And it's always the same thing, John. We talk about
I know, but
I don't trust them. You can draft whoever the hell you want. You could have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. They are historically not good at drafting. You can say they've hit on a couple recent draft picks, but historically they are terrible at drafting. Historically, they kill quarterbacks. They are just not good at it. So why would I care who you draft until you can prove that you can pick out a winner? You know how many quarterbacks we've been through in the last 20 years? You've seen the sheet. How many quarterbacks?
I'm only familiar with 3 in my life.
Right, I get it. But I'm saying you are so bad at picking quarterbacks. You don't have an eye for talent. So why would I trust you to do that again?
Selecting a quarterback is hard. Like, let's just acknowledge that, yes, historically.
I'm not saying it's easy, but plenty of teams do it. They go and get their franchise guy. Plenty of teams.
I don't know. The Browns haven't had a good quarterback in forever.
Okay, the Bengals went and saw Joe Burrow.
That took so long, dude. It took so long. They were terrible for our whole lives.
Josh Allen from Wyoming. There's Mississippi State. The Cowboys got Dak Prescott. There are organizations who see talent, and they go and get their franchise quarterback. That's our guy. We can run an offense with him. So it is possible. I don't think Justin Fields is that bad. He's not that bad.
So do you keep
drop passes this week?
Do you keep him or do you trade him? Because you could get a lot of stuff back for him. And you might get a top draft. You might be able to get Caleb Williams, depending on what happens with the.
And then what? Start over again? Like, it's just this. Like, I don't know.
So what do you do? If you're
this
Ryan
whole
Poles,
thing-
what do you do? You're Ryan Poles. What do you do in this offseason?
The team has to get sold. The McCaskies have to have.
That's
their
not going
hands
to happen.
off the
That's not going to happen. McCaskies aren't going to sell the team. So let's live in reality.
Nothing
Let's
is
not
going
speak in
to change.
hypotheticals. You're Ryan
Then
Poles.
nothing is going to change.
What do you
Nothing
do?
is going to change. You can't pick out a offensive coordinator that is successful. You can't pick out a head coach. It's a revolving door every couple years. You've seen it. John Fox, fucking
Mark Trestman, yes.
Trestman. You have seen it's a revolving door of quarterbacks, of receivers, of offensive coordinators. There's no trust. There's nothing that you have done to make me believe that. So if I'm in charge,
You are a Bears fan. You are a Bears fan, and I'm putting you in the position. Let's live in reality, okay? You got to make decisions. You're Ryan Poles. Do you keep Fields, or do you trade him? And forget about ownership. Ownership's not going to change. Sorry, Bears fans. McCaskies are never going to sell the team. You can forget it.
You keep Justin Fields. I would. As opposed to the opposite, to try and pick out a winner. Caleb Williams, the kid who ran to his mommy and jumped in her arms. Bro, I'm not trying to say whatever, but dude, if that guy's gonna lead my team and he ran to his mommy, no thanks, dude. You think grown men who's been in the NFL for 5, 6, 7 years are gonna respect that guy? Hell no. Justin Fields, if someone else came in, and I think it was Darnell Mooney or somebody talked about it, if they bring in another quarterback, it's going to divide the locker room because they believe Justin is that guy, and you bring somebody else in, they're not going to believe in him. So they've already talked about that. That team is in Justin Fields like that. He's that guy. So you have to, in my opinion, you keep him, and you got to continue to build around him, and you have to create an offense that is that plays into his strengths, okay? And you have to protect him, and you have to give him weapons. They went and got fucking Chase Claypool. Like those are the misses where I'm saying if you hit on one of those, maybe it looks different. If you hit on this one, if they don't drop passes all day, like look at the last game, how many drop passes that Fields puts in the breadbasket. It's not his fault. So that's what I would do. I would stay with Fields.
Okay. Eberflus is obviously going to get fired. I have heard that Belichick might be a possibility in Chicago.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Why would he go to a shit?
I'll tell you why. Because his legacy is important, history is important, and it's almost like Theo Epstein coming to the Cubs, being like a historically shitty franchise. I'm going to turn it around, and if he comes to Chicago and wins,
what?
It could outshadow Brady's Super Bowl with the Bucs. Trust me, that I know that
John,
people are looking at the Patriots and be like, no, it was all Brady and Belichick sucks. I think he wants to go out on a different note, and I think if he can win with Chicago, it would mean more than any of the Super Bowls that they won in New England.
John, that's a dead end there, John. You have to compete in that division. There's no way they're overtaking the Lions in the next 5 years. No chance. Dan Campbell changed that culture around. The Lions are going to own the NFC North. And then I even talk with Jordan Love. Say he takes a couple steps next season. Those are the two teams that are going to be running that division. The Bears are not within a 5-year season.
I've seen Love look amazing, and then I've also seen him miss like 8-yard slants.
That's fine. Then the Detroit Lions, who score 27 points a game, are going to run that division.
Indoors, not outside.
I don't care. You can't keep up with a team if you only score 13 points. You're not going to win in the National Football League when you put up 13 points a game.
But you don't think that Belichick could come in, even with the shitty ownership that the Bears have and will continue to have. You don't think Belichick could change it?
No, not at all.
Really?
No.
I don't know. I think he could. I think he wants to. If I'm a Bear fan, I would be psyched about that because I know I would be totally psyched about it because I know the McCaskies are never going to sell the team ever. You need to accept that.
That would be exciting, John, but
because that's someone who knows football.
He's going into a dead end position. That's like if he would go to the Carolina Panthers. Like, what are you doing? You got
a promising young quarterback that the team obviously believes in, that the front office believes in. Unless they trade him.
If he does go to the Bears, I will shave off both of my eyebrows.
You swear to God? I mean, we're recording here. If he goes to the Bears, you'll shave off both your eyebrows. Will you do it live on the pod?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you have to do?
I mean, dude, it makes more sense for you to do it. Like, it's a pretty remote possibility. I don't think I should
Walking
be
it back. Walking it back.
I don't know if I should be penalized. Maybe I'll grow.
Yes, of course.
Maybe I'll grow my beard.
You said, I think he will. I think he would. I think he wants to go to Chicago.
He should, dude. It could totally remake his image.
You should have to get like a nose ring or something.
Can I just grow a beard?
Sure, whatever.
All right, sweet.
All right. Let's move on to something else.
Cool. My secret: Bears offseason, they trade Fields, get Belichick his head coach. What else?
Oh, let's talk about the day of journalism and winter.
Oh yeah, okay. So the Shohei Ohtani, spoiler alert, he signed with the Dodgers, which is always a foregone conclusion, which was so annoying. I wish the Chicago media would have just been transparent and say, hey, he's not coming to Chicago, but Jed Hoyer and everyone was kept stringing me along with hope, which was annoying. $700 million, 10 years, but deferrals, he's actually getting paid $2 million for the first 10 years and then $68 million per year for the additional 10 years after that. So essentially, the Dodgers are going to have a team of all-stars for the next 10 to 20 years because they'll have cap space, which is absolutely brilliant. Like, people are, like, shitting on that, and it's not fair, but that's business, and business isn't fair, and that's a brilliant move from them. Ohtani's going to make $50-60 million off the field each year anyway in endorsements, so he just wants to win. And I respect that. Also, it's Southern California. It's amazing. Joe Madden was on the score in Chicago before that decision, and he goes, weather's going to be a problem. Like, he doesn't like cold weather, and he likes training in warm weather. It's one of the things that it was alluring about Toronto was the roof, and it reminded me.
It was also about the timing for Japan, from what I've heard as well, is that it's easy for Japan to wake up and watch him play. One thing I wanted to ask you, John, the number. I have the number I said was 3, and the question is, number of World Series the Dodgers have to win in the next decade in order for this to have paid off.
I think at least. I don't know if they need 3. I think they definitely need more than 1. They need multiple.
So that would be 2.
That'd be 2.
Okay, so 2 in the next 10 years with Freeman, Betts, and Ohtani.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You're Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani, but what about like Max Muncy? Like, Will Smith is awesome.
Oh, he's nasty.
Their lineup is. That's the other thing too. This is just the beginning. Like, this year is Ohtani and Freeman and Betts and Muncy and Will Smith. Can you imagine? One, if they get Yamamoto, I'm literally gonna boycott.
I think he's gonna go to the Yankees, but yeah.
I heard the Mets. I also heard Phillies. I guess he FaceTimed with Bryce Harper. Well, I don't know why he wants to go on the East Coast. But think about next year when they purchase another huge acquisition. I mean, it's literally going to be a team of all-stars.
Yeah, so I said 3. I think 3 World Series in the next decade, I think that pays off because I posted a graphic that said in the year 2040, whatever, Mookie Betts is going to be 47, Freddie Freeman's 50, and Ohtani's 45. 70 something million dollars is on their payroll for three guys who are going to be playing golf all summer.
Yeah, people talk about like the Bobby Bonilla contract. It's like, yeah, wait 10 years, and then every year, Ohtani will be getting paid $68 million, and who even knows if he's going to be playing baseball in 10 years? You know what I mean? He might be hurt. He might be retired.
Tell me what happened.
All right, so
let's talk about the integrity of
journalism reporting,
fake news media, and all this bullshit.
So John Morosi, a pretty established baseball reporter, said that Ohtani was on a flight to Toronto. That turned out to be not true, and he came on 670 Chicago The Score and explained he owned it, and it was his mistake. He got some bad intel information from a source he thought was trustworthy, but he posted that, and that was a fake. That wasn't true. So you lose a lot of your credibility.
John, he was not the only one.
He was not the only one. There was a lot of people.
There was multiple people who were making up ridiculous.
Yes.
There's a meeting between the Blue. I saw a Blue Jays writer or a MLB writer. I forgot his name. He had a handshake emoji and it said Blue Jays and Ohtani meeting at 6:00. No meeting. There's no meeting. What are you talking about?
So this is my thing. So one, Jeff Passan talked about this too. Jeff Passan, obviously from ESPN, senior baseball writer, he goes, my journalistic integrity is a Syracuse guy. He goes, I can't be wrong once. I can't even be wrong one time. So if that means I'm not the first to report it, then that's how it goes. And then I report it and I say, Bob Nightingale or John Morosi or John Heyman was on it first, or Ken Rosenthal, whatever. That's the right way to go about it. However, I think the reason that this is happening is because engagement, clicks, like that's also part of your job. Like I know they don't want to say, I know they don't want to say it. I know they don't want to say it, but there's a reason that newspapers are obsolete. Essentially,
yeah, it's media.
It's media. It's all about. It's all about. I mean, you're a content creator. It's about engagement. It's about shares. It's about positive sentiment, comments, reach, new pockets of people, increasing your following, getting picked up by other, influencers or periodicals. So, by reporting news that maybe has 3% truth, or you may have heard it from someone, like post it. And get that engagement, because you're never going to lose that. You get that engagement. Do you lose a little bit of credibility? Yes, absolutely. Journalistically, like there's no integrity there, but no one wants to say it. Part of the job is engagement, and that's why I think you're seeing when there is no action at the winter meetings, and that's another thing we can talk about. Like, do we even need to have the winter meetings when we have modern technology? Like, people are in their hotel rooms texting anyway. No one's really meeting face-to-face anyway.
John, my argument is who broke the Bryce Harper news? Who broke the Trey Turner news when Trey Turner signed with the Phillies? Who broke that when he signed the $300 million contract?
I can't remember, honestly.
You can't remember because it doesn't matter. That's my point, is nobody remembers who was first. Like I said, when John Morosi, when Bob Nightingale, we all get the notifications, right?
Oh, we follow all of them.
From this. I, 2 seconds later, turn around and make a graphic, and now my audience sees it. So it's like, oh, I saw it from Sheffield Shuffler. I got that from someone else. I didn't need a source. Nobody remembers. It's all about, like, when it happens, get on it. So nobody cares. Like, that's my argument. Is like, you don't have to be first because nobody remembers who first was. They just remember it happened and they follow you. Those guys have followings. Yeah. You don't need to, like, go and be like, oh, I got it first. Like, everyone else is going to love me now. Like, nobody gives a shit. Everybody's reporting on it in the next 5 minutes. Right. Even schmucks like me. So that's what my argument is. Like, what's the rush? Because nobody, like, as soon as it happens and it's confirmed, then, get on it, as opposed to drumming up these fake stories.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. Just because, like, back then there was like 4 news outlets, and now everyone is a report. You know what I mean? Like, you broke that story, or so. In journalism school, I was always taught. One, get not just viable true sources, but multiple sources confirming the truth. And it's better to be right than to be first. But I was taught that before all of these social media platforms. And they can't say it, Morosi can't say it, whatever. It's like they're judged also on their engagement and the type of engagement that they get. Like, I do social media professionally for a living. Like, that is the name of the game, engagement. Like, feeding these social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they are monetized by consuming engaging content. You have to feed that machine engaging content. And if you don't, it will realize, the algorithm will realize, hey, this account doesn't ever give us engaging content. So when you actually do give them something, it's not going to pick you up and it's not going to disperse your stuff into the algorithm. So there's pressure on these reporters to create news when there is no news because that's part of their job. And journalistically, is it right? No, but that's business. That's why this is why this is happening, and this is why the journalistic integrity, has gone by the wayside because no one will remember, right? Who cares?
Yeah, you're correct about, I think, 95, 96, 97% of what you're saying. 96, 97% correct. The only thing that I see is like those guys have such a large following. They're not like young and upcoming reporters. Like, oh, like if I got an opportunity to go work for the Phillies and I'm in the locker room,
I agree.
Like, oh,
I agree with
Brandon
you.
Marsh just said his ankle, he needed to get it taped. Like,
Right.
I need to get this out because I want people. It's like Sports Center. Do you think Sports Center cares about like their algorithmic numbers? They have such a large audience, it feeds itself. That's
Agreed.
would just be like my only argument. Like these guys are the guys. We know them all by name because they are the
Absolutely.
guys.
It's way more important for them because they are established and they have their following, that it's more important for them to be right than be first. So there really should be no excuse for those people to be wrong.
Yes, I would expect beat writers for like just people who are trying to get in there. And,
absolutely.
Hey, this guy broke it. Who's this guy? Like, how does he know he's a beat writer for the Blue Jays and he was at the airport and saw it with that kind of stuff? I could see because then it's more, and I think it's even more like mysterious. Like, you see this beat reporter. Oh, he works for the Toronto Sun. Like, why? He's at the airport. He said he saw Ohtani. It's almost like more exciting because you don't know who this guy is, and like he's doing his journalistic best to go and find a story. So I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think people are trying to create news when there was no news. And there's a lot of pressure to.
It was Robert Herjavec.
What?
From Shark Tank. You saw it. That was the guy that was on the plane.
Yeah, that was on the plane. Yeah, there was like so many funny memes about that. That was great.
Robert.
Why aren't the Cubs doing anything?
Yeah. So I think they're going to sign Rhys Hoskins in the next. I don't know. They would have to sign him. I don't know. Do they wait for Bellinger to sign if they don't get?
I heard he's going to Toronto. I heard he's going to Toronto.
Who?
Bellinger
to Toronto?
It looks like the Cubs are not going to give him the money that Boris.
What did he ask for? $200 million.
Yeah, and I don't think the Cubs. The Cubs' concern with Bellinger is he started to get exposed on high fastballs, like supreme velocity up in the zone, and it's just not something that they really liked.
He had a fantastic year. He had a prove me year. A year they gave him a short contract. Prove it. We're going to stay. And he capitalized.
He did. And he deserves to get paid. But I don't think Jed's going to give him $200. I don't think the Cubs are going to give him that much money. I don't.
Yeah.
So I think Hoskins is their first baseman. And then I think PCA is their center fielder. Unfortunately, he can't hit. And you have to DH Morel. Morel might be a good trade. Because
I like him so much as
I do too, but he can't
guy.
play. He can't play anywhere else but second base. He's not going to play second base because of Nico Horner. So where do you put him?
You could put him in the outfield, I guess.
He's not that good, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, Schwarber, like
for many years.
By the way, like people shit on Schwarber's defense. I actually think he's not that bad.
Oh, he's a plus.
His arm, like in his accuracy, and there was like 1 year with the Cubs. I remember he like led the league in like assists, like putouts, because so many people ran on him. But he would make. Remember, he was a catcher, so he has a gun, and he's accurate.
What's the defensive metric?
UZR.
He was a plus defender. I don't know.
Ultimate zone rating, UZR.
I don't know.
There's so many
stats.
I know.
Plus defensive.
I don't think he's as bad a defender as people say. I actually think he's a pretty decent. And I think he's worked really. He was really bad in his early days, but I think he's worked really hard to be a decent outfielder.
I like Morel though. I like him as a clubhouse guy for sure, and he's got a great bat. I mean, he got really hot at one point last season.
I just don't understand with like modern technology and all the player development that you can't find another position for him. Why can't he play third base?
Yeah.
Why can't he play third base? If he could play second base, he could play third. He has a strong arm.
Sure. Wisdom's got to get some time at third base.
Dude, Wisdom can't play unless there's a lefty. He can't be in the everyday lineup. He strikes out too much.
Not the everyday lineup, but you still got to get some reps out there.
I don't think he's your everyday third baseman.
Probably not every day.
No, I think he's on the team, and I think he starts against lefties, and I think you can bring him off the bench. But you need a Pete Crow Armstrong can't hit. Okay, so I don't even know if he can be your everyday center fielder because his bat is terrible unless he makes huge strides in this offseason. I think Hoskins is at first. I don't think he signed Bellinger, but
yeah, you have to start filling the position. They don't have a first baseman. They have to go get and sign Rhys Hoskins. Do that immediately. You needed some power in your lineup as well. He checks that box off. He checks off first base. So
what's taking so long? Like now that Ohtani has moved, like what?
Because they always wait for these positions to sign, so then they can set the market. That's what I've seen being happen. Like we're waiting. Okay, well we got to wait for this outfielder to sign because Cody Bellinger is going to set the market for outfielders. So once he signs, now we can evaluate everybody else and say where they was. That's why Ohtani didn't want numbers being released because once numbers are released, the Angels valued him at $500 million. Okay, well then why would we pay 7? So we'll give him 6, 10. You know, like that's why he said anybody who releases anything, like you guys are gonna be fucked. Because I don't want numbers being out. I want you to tell me what you think my value is. Because most of that value is not on the field. It's from viewership from Japan.
Yes.
It's from merchandise. It's from endorsements. That value is not from playing baseball. So that's what I think it is. It just sucks, dude. Like, winter meetings are supposed to be like the 4 days of like hot, fun stuff happening.
And the last couple of years have been so boring.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, John, what else?
I think that's
it.
What
we got?
I think that's it, man. We already talked about MVP talk.
Yeah.
My Packers, I really hope at this point, I just hope they fire their defensive coordinator. And in fact, they might have, like LaFleur might have to fire him or else he might be in trouble. It sucks that Jordan Love isn't very good.
It's almost Christmas, John.
It is almost Christmas.
The 19th.
Have you done your shopping yet?
I went yesterday, and I got something for my wife, something for my mom. I'm waiting for my dad to tell me what books he wants. I have to get something for my brother, and then I'm covered. My daughter's good. Oh, did I tell you what I got my father-in-law?
No.
So my father-in-law, I went to a charity
How's he doing,
event.
by the way? Better?
Oh, he's good. So I went to a charity event with Todd Frazier. Todd Frazier does a charity event.
That's cool.
Like a beer pong tournament.
Awesome.
So I went there. One of the things they were auctioning off was Sunday tickets to the U.S. Open on Father's Day.
Oh, wow.
So they auction them.
Where is it this year? Or next year, I mean?
Pinehurst.
Pinehurst number 2 or whatever? Yeah.
Pinehurst number 2, yeah. So I bid on it and I got it. And so, my father-in-law had a heart attack this year. He's the one who got me into golf this summer. So his birthday is on Christmas. So I'm going to give that to him for his birthday.
That's amazing.
Christmas gift. So
hopefully he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Summer. Yeah, I don't think so. So next summer, we're going to go on Father's Day. I think we're going to make a trip
Dude,
out
that's
of it,
great,
my wife
man.
and kid. Yeah, so we'll go. And it's Sunday. It's the day they crown a champion.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
That's amazing. What a great gift.
Yeah.
Yep. My son's got a million gifts. I got my wife her gift. I got my gifts, which are really nice. My wife got me this like coffee table book, like this old school Chicago Cubs, and it like chronicles all like of the old periodical stuff about like the Cubs and like the old trib from like the 80s. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's all Cubs related, but it has other stories. So I'm opening it, and I find myself reading about stories that happened in like 1983 that are, but it's super cool, and a bunch of other cool stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I can't go out and buy gifts without buying myself something. Like I went out and got gifts yesterday, and I bought a new phone case just because I was like,
nice, dude.
I want to buy something.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You have to treat yourself. It's the holidays, man.
I know. Then I stopped at, there's a new dispensary right down the street from my house.
Nice.
Literally 3 minutes down the road. Maybe we can get sponsored by them. I'll reach out to
Yeah, reach out to them.
All right, John. I'll see you after Christmas then, okay?
Sounds good, buddy. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. And we will see you hopefully next week to recap all the Christmas games.
Merry Chrysler.